I was making coffee. I was brewing coffee, so let me go quickly get myself a cup of coffee. I will give Luna a pat on the head since I'm gonna miss her. And then I'll be back in like 2 minutes. And then we can start. Welcome to Madoka Magicast, the podcast devoted to the Dark Magical Girl franchise, Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I am your host, Amanda, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Yasha and Vanna, who are the owners of the biggest revolutionary girl Utena website, Empty Movement.
Hi!
Hi, guys. We're also joined today by our co-host, Erin Cerise, who is a YouTuber and overall magical girl connoisseur.
Hello.
On this podcast, we talk about Puella Magi Madoka Magica, its spin-offs, and what we love and don't love about all the things about this fun, dark, magical girl show. As you know, we are covering the new anime Magia Record, which is based on the gacha game, and today we're going over Episode 3. Sorry for making you my friend.
Just a fun and happy episode, you can tell from the
absolutely.
title.
And they still don't have the information up on IMDb about directors or anything like that, so sad.
We're gonna have to eventually go back and maybe talk about some of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm looking on the Madoka wiki, they don't have that info either, beyond just the fact that Gekidani Nukuri is scripting.
I'm sure it's in the episode credits, just all in Japanese, so
yeah.
I can't read all those.
Nobody's bothered to look
I can't read all those names.
I mean, maybe we could get somebody to do it as a favor, maybe.
Maybe. Looking up the kanji for Japanese names is
really a nightmare.
Yeah.
But we can see.
We'll
anyway,
see.
At some point, we'll maybe find out. What did you guys think of this episode before we talk about it? Because this is episode 3 now.
So we're well into the show at this point.
I mean, it follows pretty close with the game.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's
more or less, anyway.
I haven't played the game. I think I'm the only person that hasn't.
Yeah, the
played
only
the
one
game.
who hasn't played the game.
So I'm judging this show entirely apart from it being a game with a pre-existing or a musical that apparently covers the same material from 2018 that I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, which we recently got our hands on.
So that's also a thing.
Yes, I haven't watched it yet either, but
we could potentially be covering soon.
We may be covering that.
Yeah.
So given that I don't have the framework of knowing the content ahead of time and it being a gacha game, which I think probably limits its premise already, I have my criticisms, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it, not knowing.
Yeah, I'm curious. I am curious too.
Yeah.
Personally, I did not like this episode the first time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it went by way too fast. I didn't think it was done very well. And then I watched it again, but right before we recorded this, and I thought it was much better when I watched it a second time. Maybe that's because I was watching it much slower, because I had to pause it a bunch of times because we take notes for the podcast. And I was doing that thing where I was like paying closer attention to what was happening and like what was going on in the background.
Right.
And it might have just been that thing where it was like, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't noticed that, or et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So when I guess on a second watch and when I was like on a closer look, there was a little bit more going on that either I got it the second time or I kind of got it because it was a little bit more dense.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have that experience too. We'll see.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I was like, that was not good.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't think you should necessarily discount your first experience.
No, I'm not saying I should either. I'm not saying I should. I think my first experience has...
If it were necessarily better constructed, you wouldn't have had that gut reaction to it.
I absolutely did not need to watch any episode of Madoka twice to engage with it.
No. No, not at all. And I would normally... And I did not mean to say that I think... that you did, because any other time I would be completely agreeing with you. That's my problem with Rebellion. That's why I think Prometheus is a good movie.
Oh my god.
Someone has to.
That's why I think The Last Jedi is a good movie and The Rise of Skywalker is a bad movie.
Well, I agree with you on The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, like, when you watch it, it's fine, versus when you watch it, it's not fine. Like, later on, when you're thinking about it, that's a different experience. But when you watch it for the first time, you should enjoy it for the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the refrigerator moment that we were talking about a few episodes back, as coined by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
Alfred Hitchcock. Jesus. You know, where it doesn't, if they're standing at the refrigerator and realize the movie was stupid, it doesn't really matter because you had them at that moment.
Yeah.
But if they're not enjoying it while they're watching the movie,
You've got a problem.
So that's kind of what my experience was with this episode.
Yeah.
But
I
did,
agree.
when I watched it again, I did appreciate it a little bit better. There's a little bit more going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say I think I had a similar reaction to you. I felt like the first 2 episodes have had pacing problems. This one, I felt like even more so. It felt like a hodgepodge episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I think I had a strong, good reaction to parts of it at least. So I appreciated those parts. The stuff with Rena in the back half of the episode, I think, works the best.
Yes.
But overall, a lot of it just goes by way too fast. There's new characters coming out that were not, like, properly given time to settle with and expected to just accept as part of the cast and spend a lot of time on stuff that probably
Didn't need it.
could have been better spent elsewhere. But at the same time, I'm also easy to please with, say, like, magical girl transformations and whatnot, so I'm not entirely...
Yeah, there is an extended
entirely
sequence
unhappy
in this episode.
So I was trying to iron out, like, what my fundamental problem with this show has been so far, and I ended up coming down to stakes.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that's
that.
going to be, like, the continuing pattern, because I felt that with this episode pretty strongly, is that with a bunch of other, like, kind of minor, complaints I have here and there, ultimately the problem is I don't feel stakes are involved here, even though I'm being told that the witches are stronger and all these sorts of things. Madoka felt like, oh my god, this is life and death, even before Mommy died.
Yeah.
You
were always aware that
severity.
Those girls were in danger.
Yeah, you could tell they were getting themselves into a bad situation. You could tell that Kyubey was up to no good. You could tell they were getting taken advantage of, etc., etc., etc. And it created a sense of stakes that I found very engaging and, like, clicked right away with. And I feel like this one does not success. And it doesn't, because it can't have stakes because it's got a game to run alongside. So it can't murder any of its main characters, or, you'd have to explain why they're still alive in the game. Things like that.
And it already has all that mythos around it that we
Right.
already know about.
Exactly.
So it has to establish, like, new stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so far the stakes we have are sister girl missing. Why?
No, not sure.
Not sure.
Which is weird.
Which is stronger,
Yeah,
which
and-
is what I'm being told but haven't been shown. Because they don't seem stronger
Yeah,
to me.
the quote-unquote witch in this episode especially really is a letdown in terms of, like, how imposing we're told it is versus how imposing it actually seems.
And that's going to be, I think, what I'm going to keep coming to.
No, and that's a good point, because I think a lot of that ties back to, like, we complained a lot about how, that initial flashback in episode 1 of the original show was so important to setting up the show, and then by removing it in the movies,
It was
you
missing
lose so much. And that flashback really does add so much to the stakes of the show, like, even before Mommy dies and before you know anything else that's going on.
you know something serious
You already
is
know
happening.
the apocalypse is
Yeah,
going to happen.
you already know it's the fucking apocalypse. Like,
Let's say we had some kind of weird flashback here that set up, like, foreshadowed some kind of horrible event that happened at the very end of the show. Like, that would probably
it would help.
give the show a little bit of a similar effect.
It's cheap and it's easy and it works. I wouldn't have minded that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, unfortunately, it does the job.
It does work. That's why they did it.
Yeah, she's already having prophetic dreams anyway.
Yeah, right?
As we see in this episode.
Yep.
Like, right from the beginning. So maybe we should just go into the
Let's
episode.
go
then,
into
since I
it.
mentioned
Let's
that.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a good point to transition.
So, yeah. We're
Also,
gonna get into
Sam,
this.
why are you being such a pest? You've been screaming for hours. I don't know what his problem is. I might have to go and put him
Sam, what do you need?
away for a timeout.
Are you trying to warn us?
He's trying to warn us about the
Sam wants
show
to
we're going to
give
watch
his
here.
opinions on Magia-Reco, I guess.
Sam, are you trying to warn us about the duality of man and how trying to create a perpetual motion machine between magical girls and witches is going to lead to our downfalls?
Okay, but I lost my mind when I heard that phrase.
I think he's just trying to tell us about the rumor of the empty food bowl.
It's not even empty.
The never filling
It's
food
not
bowl.
empty,
The never full enough food bowl is what it is.
Yeah.
It's never full enough, no matter how much kibble is in it.
All right.
Okay, let's do this.
Yes, I am ready.
Episode 3, Sorry for Making You My Friend.
Vanna, you should start off.
Why?
You or Aaron, because I've started off and Amanda started off. You guys haven't.
Okay, so let's see. We've got a cold open here. Little girls talking about Archimedean spirals and perpetual motion machines.
You know, as little girls
do, because of course they do. Quick shots of a snow globe, and one of the photos, Iroha, the space where another person would have been is gone, and they do that quite often. That's a theme they keep showing you.
Yeah.
The space where MacGuffin Chan
We're watching a short excerpt from MacGuffin Chan and Friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which wasn't obvious to me right away because I was slow. Dense already.
I don't know. We've got
But
this,
it's these
this-
three girls playing in this room just swarmed with books, and they're making this little machine train that's
Well, like
about
thousands
thousands.
of books.
One of
Stacks.
them
Yeah.
made the
Yeah.
machine.
It seems like there's more book than hospital in
One
Yeah, I
here.
of
don't
them
know
made
what-
the machine and the books are for the other one. That's like the thematic contrast between these two girls. One of them is a scientist type and the other one is a writer type.
Yeah.
So,
And it's Hope and Despair is the title of one of the books that you're
Okay,
shown.
so yeah, she's like, she made like a homemade
Train.
little train.
Crashed the train into the books.
Yeah.
They exploded and catch fire.
Which is animated in not the greatest CG, I might
It is
add.
very strange.
It's very odd.
It's very strange. The writer girl gets angry that the books got burned. And then the engineer girl is like, well then if the information on them is so important, they shouldn't be on something so combustible. Like something really super nerdy like
yeah,
that.
it's very
sigh. I'm sorry.
big sigh.
MacGuffin Chan is like, can you guys please not fight?
Yeah.
And then the two of them are like, well, I hate you. We're not friends anymore.
And apparently they do this a
It's
lot.
like poetry, it
Yeah.
rhymes.
Yeah.
It's like a cycle. It repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a shadow in the background of presumably a nurse scolding them for acting like children, because that's what nurses do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, that creepy bunny
It's that
is
creepy bunny that we're going to
looking
see
at her.
again.
Yeah, well,
And again.
Nope. So
And again.
Iroha wakes up. She was having a dream. Creepy bunny is there. Yeah.
creepy
Again.
bunny is not looking at her, though.
No, it's just sitting on
Which
the
is-
bed,
An improvement.
which is less creepy.
Yeah.
So
It's moved further away from her on the
Yes.
bed, too.
I'll call that a net positive.
Yeah.
And then we
But,
get shown another.
We gotta keep track of what this bunny does over the course
Yeah,
of the show.
this is
here.
bunny watch.
Yeah.
I don't trust this bunny at all.
Me neither. Conspicuously moving around on her
Yeah.
bed in the episode.
Different expressions, things like that. It's very sketch.
So, Iroha realizes that Ui had two friends with her at the hospital, and that maybe if she finds those two friends, maybe she can find what happened to her sister. So she has a new lead.
We might need a lock-up kid.
Yeah.
Hold on a
Hang
second.
I've got to go and...
Sam's being a complete pest. I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Sam knows spoilers about these two girls.
He does. Spoiler alert.
He's trying to tell us the entire series plot.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have these two characters that are having this kind of conflict of philosophy, I suppose,
In
over
the dream, yeah.
Yeah, in this dream sequence. And she wants to use these two figures
Oh.
to find Ui now, MacGuffin Chan.
Can I just say, I really hate this trope in anime specifically, but fiction generally, I suppose, of like the ultra genius child who doesn't behave like a real child in any
It gets
way,
exhausting.
shape, or form.
I hate that also. But what can you do? Like, this is also anime, so it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a slightly heightened reality, so it's slightly better than it would be like if this was a
Yeah.
live action.
Well, that, but also, like, anime is so tropey with characters that it's kind of...
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, the same scene is in the game. I didn't like it in
No.
the game either.
I was almost taking it for granted that this whole thing was an imagined idea anyway, and that these children aren't even necessarily real.
They might not be.
They were like facets of MacGuffin Chan or something like that.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up because I can't really talk about it right now, but it's a little bit thematically relevant to plot stuff in the future, like some of the stuff that they're talking about and like some of the visuals and some of what Lee says and like stuff like that. If Aaron probably knows like what I'm talking about, or maybe you
Yeah.
don't.
I'm not sure specifically.
It felt very
Well-
deliberately inorganic to me, so it kind of like set off
Well,
alarms.
because it's kind of weird and bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Just
it's
what's
not
going
like
on.
there wouldn't have literally been that many books in the
No,
room.
like
Yeah.
you can read some stuff into it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
So like it does have that kind of dreamlike and like metaphorical kind of quality to what you're watching and listening to.
Yet at the same time, the way the cinematography is and the way the dialogue is, it feels also like a real scene that's happening. So it's a weird mix. It could have been more dreamlike if that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like rides the line. It's like right in between.
it's, I don't know, in a sense, that's kind of like, at least it's pinging to me the whole idea of how your brain processes things. And when you dream about things, you're dreaming about things that may have happened, but maybe in a sense that you wouldn't think of it normally, or they happen in a fantastical sense in your dream, or certain elements are exaggerated, but it's still processing something that happened in real life.
Like a real life stack of books becomes a room full of books because you remembered the book specifically and focused on it.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
It's got dream logic.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's portrayed well.
No.
No.
They could have done better with dream logic, given how often dream logic dominates the entire aesthetic of this franchise.
I mean, fair.
I mean, witch labyrinths are dream logic.
So, anyway, now we're standing outside a store or something. Is that Momoko with her hair down?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not used to seeing her with her hair down.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever been in any form of media up until now.
She looks very pretty. I like how
She does. I like it.
She also looks like she hasn't been, like, taking care of herself while Kaede has been missing.
Yeah.
That's how I read that, anyway.
I read this as possibly... Because she asked her if she went to school, and then she's kind of embarrassed, and she says yes. I thought that maybe she went to school, but transformed as Momoko. Because later in the episode, it's like, well, when I'm sad and I'm feeling embarrassed, I transform into Momoko. So maybe Momoko, like, didn't go to school that day, and let her just go to school as herself.
Yeah.
And, like, just kind of...
I think that would make sense.
Like, like, ran out of the house to meet up with them. I don't know. But at any rate, they go down a creepy alleyway into an abandoned building to go see this weirdo.
The coordinator.
Which I haven't gotten far enough in the game. I haven't played the recent stuff, so I don't know what her deal is. So I'm still trying to figure that one out myself.
I'm going to say that was a wet fart for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You talk about like some doomy person in the shadows called the coordinator, and I was like getting hyped.
No.
And no, that wasn't what I was hoping for.
And to be fair, I didn't really like it in the game either. I think when Amanda and I talked about the game, I voiced some of my complaints about the coordinator's design and how she's introduced.
I was expecting something way more dark and dreary and...
Well, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, the coordinator was interesting because she was dealing with all these magical girls, but she wasn't herself a magical girl, is what was said. But then
she's
later
like a
on,
therapist for magical girls.
Later on in the game,
to be fair, they didn't say she wasn't a magical girl.
I think she does, though. I think, like, in the game, not in the series.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think in the game she says she's not a magical girl. So, because I kind of fixated on that.
Maybe she definitely is.
Yeah, I know.
She is in technically, but she doesn't really do any of the things that magical girls do.
Yeah, so maybe it's just that.
She needs grief seeds, but she doesn't fight witches. She doesn't have a weapon.
Yeah, like she literally can't fight witches.
Her weapon is social engineering.
Yeah, you can...
Basically,
You can technically draw her and use her in the game, but that's like for the sake of... Oh, another character I can get in the game to use because I like this character in the story. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it really surprised me when I was seeing like, oh, well, you can draw Mitama now. And I'm like, what?
No, she doesn't.
Why?
She doesn't fight. She doesn't have a weapon. Like, as far as we know, she doesn't use magic in any other way other than the one specific way that she uses it in the story. Yeah.
Yeah, and it reflects in how you can use her in-game. Like, her, like, special ultimate Magia whatever attack doesn't do any damage. All it does is leave a status effect.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
That is a wet fart.
I don't know. I was kind of expecting some kind of like magical girl adjacent new thing to be going on, but
at least she could do is jump over a car.
Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, presumably she can jump over a car.
Probably.
But she probably won't.
But yeah, no, she is a magical girl. She's just a different brand of magical girl,
also,
I guess.
Who is this one? Because we've got another magical girl on the screen right now.
Oh, yeah, I put in my notes here. I don't remember who this is. Aaron, take it away.
Yes. No, this is another, like, rando magical girl cameo from the game. This is Mayu Kozue, who doesn't have any major bearing on the main story, so she's just here as a cameo, pretty much.
And she's getting shrinked.
Yes, she is, as Erin described it in one of our previous gacha episodes, Mitama, so the coordinator, her name is Yakumo?
Mitama Yakumo,
Mitama, yes. Yakumo Mitama. Well, so family name Yakumo, first name Mitama. Mm-hmm. She is a magical girl chiropractor.
Yeah. I don't know about...
She chiropracts your soul, Jim.
Am I the only one here who gets a major sense of menace from "I'm going to touch your soul gem"?
No, that's creepy as shit.
That you absolutely...
Yeah, that's intentional.
That is intentional.
That's effective.
Yeah. She tells them, breathe in, breathe out, relax, I'm gonna touch your soul gem, and the magical girl does not seem to enjoy it, because she, cries out in pain / semi-sexual not enjoyment having her soul gem touched. And it's creepy, and she's almost it's almost a chiropractor / yoga /
Yeah, they call it adjustments.
Yeah, she calls it an adjustment.
Chiropractors are terrible, by the way.
Let's talk about this design.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yes, Amanda and I have discussed this design.
It's a lot.
Everything you could possibly draw on a figure, they drew on this design.
Yes.
There aren't any belly windows or tit windows or
spam.
side windows.
They spammed design elements.
Yeah. But I mean, at least the spam covers everything.
You know what this is? This is deep mind AI.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yes.
Oh
this is what happens if you let an AI design a magical girl after showing it 500 magical girls.
Okay, so for the SoundCloud and iTunes people who are audio only, you gotta describe what's going on here.
Okay. This is going to take a while.
Go. Why don't you tell us, Vanna, because you were having some reactions there to what's happening here.
Let's see.
There's a picture linked in there.
Here, I'll look up a design picture and I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, there's one linked in the outline here.
Let's see it.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot happening. So she's got blue tuxedo tails. She has a blue fringe skirt with little black ruffles on it. She has a vest under her jacket that isn't actually attached to the tuxedo tails for some reason. She has a neck ruffle thing and shoulder ruffle things and a collar and a rose at her throat and
an ascot, but
double
layered.
There's an ascot involved, and there's a chain on the jacket that's not part of the tuxedo tails because it's a separate layer, apparently.
Maybe she's just really cold.
I'd love to see the cosplayers who have tried to make this.
There's 5 layers of clothing here, and none of them make sense.
The thing there's a few things here that are especially baffling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 1, she has 2 vests.
Yeah,
okay?
Why?
The top vest is a vest, an actual vest.
The bottom one's more of an underbust bodice, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's more like a corset almost.
Unfortunately, the top vest has boob socks.
It does.
So the top vest has pockets in the boob area for her boobs.
Yep.
It doesn't just lay over her boobs like a normal vest would. It has pockets for her boobs.
It has to be tight.
Yeah, so it's skin tight around her boobs. A vest is skin tight around her boobs. It's very strange.
Yes.
And then, like you said, the second vest underneath that is more like a corset.
Yeah,
which is also
it's
unfortunate.
not a corset because it buttons in the front.
Yeah.
So
it's more of a vest, I guess.
Yeah.
It's an underboob vest, yeah. It's the only
And the blue that her rose is at her throat is the wrong shade of blue for the rest of the outfit, and it bothers me.
Yeah, so she has navy blue, but then the rose is cyan blue.
It's not right. It's wrong.
Well, her hair accessories are as well.
It's wrong.
Yeah. So that's the only stuff that balances it out.
Yeah, and she's got this massive hair accessory that's a bow with, and then there's another rose on the other side.
No, she's got a bow and a rose.
Yeah, so
and
on one side
a bun
is a bow
and a ponytail and long bangs.
Yeah, it's on one side. And, and then she has a bun in the back and a ponytail.
It's so much.
They couldn't decide what hairstyle they wanted for her, so they said every hairstyle.
Yeah, and on one side she has a little braid, coming out of the
side.
side.
You're right. Yeah, there is a braid, too.
So she has a braid and a bun.
And gloves.
And a ponytail. And she has bangs. And she has the long things on the side. She has 5 different anime hair things going on in her hair.
2 different sets of bangs, it seems even.
Yeah. It's spam.
She has a lot of hair.
It's so over-designed. This is what I would call
I almost wonder
over-designed.
if that's the point.
She's
considering
extra.
Some things I know about her character.
I think that this is trying to convey that she's extra, and No.
But
like not in a way.
You do that with blinding color combinations, not this hot mess.
Yeah. Yeah, this just looks like ill-conceived. It doesn't look fully intentional.
Yeah, not to get ahead of where we are, and Aaron and who I still don't remember who it was that was playing the game.
Yasha.
Between Yasha and Vana. Okay, Yasha, depending on how far you got, you might know this. But you know who is extra through her design without being bad? Alina.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
No, that design is good.
Not Mitama. Mitama does not come across that way. Her design is just bad.
Her design reminds me of, like what Vana was saying, the AI-generated stuff, but my mind keeps hanging on those... Have you ever seen those AI-generated recipes where they call for, like, a cup of brown and shit like that?
That's what this looks
That's like what this is to me. This is like...
And I mean, obviously this is... I have to make 500 magical girls, and there's going to be a few stinkers in the pile, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
But...
And I wouldn't necessarily call this a stinker. Like, it still looks, like, from, like, just a full body shot, it looks appealing to the eye.
She's got a nice silhouette.
Like, just color-wise.
She's got a nice silhouette.
Yeah. But then it's mostly when you start to look at the individual elements, like,
this is busy.
Why is all this... What is this doing here?
They really wanted the tuxedo tails and then spent a lot of time trying to justify them when you didn't need to.
Yeah.
Is how I feel about this.
Okay, so hold on. What would we remove in order to make this work?
The underbust corset needs to be part of the jacket. That needs to be one jacket with one tuxedo tail and one vest.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that whole thing needs to be one piece. Need to get rid of some of the ruffles around her face.
The shoulder ruffles could go, I think.
Yeah.
Get rid of the rose in her hair or the rose on her neck.
Hair needs to just be toned down a lot. The ascot could stay.
Yeah, I'd get rid of the hair rose, maybe leave the chest rose, because it does go with the hair jewel bow thing. Yeah. Maybe change the color of the rose on the neck.
The shoulder ruffles, I think, need to go because those say maid to me.
Yeah.
They have that maid look.
You could either have totally sleeveless or, like, have, like, nice little professional sleeves.
Yeah.
With cuffs.
She could have puff sleeves like Madoka has, and it would look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
be
work.
sleeveless like Kyoko.
Yeah, like a blouse.
Yeah.
Either way.
That would sell the, like, tuxedo secretary.
Yeah, because I get what they wanted here, but they didn't get it.
Just take away half a cup of ruffles.
Yeah, half a cup of ruffles, and you
basically.
probably...
You don't need the ruffles on the bottom of the pencil skirt either.
You've got buttons, and you've got gold, and you've got trim, and you've got bows, and you've got chains. Like, Jesus Christ.
You don't need that much.
Some of this. You don't need all of this. Yeah. So anyway,
and I need to take at least one element of her hairstyle away.
Maybe she became a magical girl when she was like 6, and her taste was terrible and undeveloped, and now she's stuck with it.
No, she doesn't have that excuse.
Because I don't know. Game people, you remember the Halloween witch? She was like, like 6 or something. I don't know. She was pretty young, and her design was not anywhere near this
gaudy.
Yeah.
It's gaudy.
And she has an excuse. She's like totally into like the extra type magical girl designs.
There's that girl from Oriko Yuma who's like actually 6.
Yeah.
And her magical girl costume looks like a mascot costume from like Disney World.
Yeah. It looks like the girl from DigiCarrot.
Yes.
If anybody
oh my god, yes.
She's a literal 5-year-old, and like she looks like a cartoon character. So it's like, yeah, like that makes sense. Like that's good. That's like good character building. This is not. This just looks like you had a horny person draw this.
Honestly, you know what?
And to be fair, that might be the case.
I mean,
you know what this looks like to me? Like looking at it from the character's point of view, this looks to me like somebody who's really insecure.
Yeah,
somebody who would wear all this looks insecure to me.
See, the thing, I don't know enough about this character to say that you're wrong, but I don't get that from this character yet. So I don't know.
I will say, without saying why, I will say that's partially accurate.
Hey. Okay, all right. Okay. All right.
Well,
interesting.
Intuition. Okay, well, there we go.
Also, before we move on from designs, a lot of the difference in quality of designs comes down to the fact that Magia Record, the game, hires a different illustrator to design each magical girl, except for like the super main ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. So that's true. She was designed by somebody different from the main cast of girls.
It shows.
It does show.
Yeah. That's why there's so many different art styles in Magia Record, the game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
okay.
Anyway, moving on with the show then.
As an aside, she's been brought a new magical girl. This is after this whole moment with her client that was just scary energy.
Creepy. Yeah, actually, I want to talk about the way they did that because they frame her very weird in this whole scene.
They framed her the same way they framed Kyubey.
Yeah.
in Madoka early on.
Yeah.
With, like, in shadow,
Kinda,
and, like,
yeah.
her fingers reaching toward the soul gem, and
Yeah.
all this sort of, like...
When her face comes at the camera, it's like a fisheye lens
Yeah.
effect.
They frame her very creepy.
Yeah.
Actually, throughout this whole scene, like, I'll point it out when it happens, but... So they've brought Iroha to her, and she's all like, oh, new person. Fresh meat.
Yes. New client.
That's literally
She, like, leans into her space, like,
That is literally
Yeah.
the message that I get from how she's looking at Iroha here, is just fresh meat.
like...
And that...
Okay, that's a Cubase shot. That's literally a Cubase shot.
Yeah, the big face shot with
Like,
the
it's just
eyes
this-
central.
Yeah, like, it's a fisheye lens on her eyeballs, so that her eyeballs take up the entire goddamn screen,
Yeah.
which is impressive.
And that, like, knowing little
And
smile.
then this kind of, like, weird saunter off to the couch, and...
Which seems to show off, like, she can barely even walk properly
Yeah.
in that pencil
Yeah.
skirt.
She walks away and she's like, is this your first time to be adjusted? And it's kind of like, bitch, you know the answer to that question. You're the only person who does this.
Yep.
She's literally just asking it to see what your answer is.
Yeah.
Yep. And she asks, where's Yachio?
Oh, I like on her little planner sheet here, it shows all the
Yeah.
elements of the different types of characters. in the
I was
game.
gonna say, this looks like Magic the Gathering breakdown here.
Yeah,
but-
it pretty much is. It's the same kind of
idea.
elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently Yachio should be here any minute,
And
and
there she
here
is.
she is.
Speak of the devil and all that.
I love that in Japanese when she says that, like, it's translated as speak of the devil, but in Japanese it's an idiom that references uasa, rumors.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. She says something like uasa o sureba nan, like, oh, if you say a rumor, then there it comes, or it's that's
okay.
what it translates to something like
It's
that.
the same
Yeah.
as Speak of the Devil.
That well,
yeah, it
kind
basically
of,
means speak
but-
of the devil, but it references, like, if you say rumors, then it's gonna come to you, or it's like something like that, or
That's neat. That's
Yeah.
actually really
Mhm.
nice and works a lot better than Speak of the Devil.
Yeah. Speak
Yeah.
of the Devil is not a
Yeah,
phrase
I don't know how
use
you would translate that,
uncarefully.
though.
yeah. The implication in English of speak of the devil is not quite right.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of meaning of what she says in Japanese is basically speak of the devil. Like, oh, if
Yeah.
you say if you talk about something, it's gonna it's gonna pop up.
Yeah,
You know?
if you speak of the devil will
Yeah.
come.
Mhm. I love, quote unquote, love her room, which is entirely garbage aside from this tiny little space where she apparently does all of her living, cooking, eating,
Yeah, this
sleeping.
is the worst con.
Yeah, there's like debris everywhere.
Yeah, this is like an extremely bizarre studio apartment.
You do not get a good look at this room in the game.
No, you
So
don't.
I love that you get a good look of it here. It is literally like a dilapidated gymnasium.
Yeah, like what the
Yeah,
hell?
or like a warehouse or something.
A warehouse,
I don't know.
a museum, almost a showroom.
It's got to be a showroom or something because of that big stained glass window.
Yeah.
Big stained glass window.
Mhm.
It's got these marble columns.
It's got the
It's
big
got-
exits there.
Yep.
Big exits. It's got marble floors with this weird circular design on the bottom.
Maybe like a house of worship almost.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she just has a bunch of like furniture strewn about, and then there's just like garbage. Like
That just doesn't gel at all. Well, like her design, it doesn't gel at
Yeah,
all.
and,
She
like-
doesn't gel, I guess, is this deep thought that they're having.
I know that it's there for effect, like, oh, clearly she set up shop in this abandoned building, but it makes me look at this and wonder, like, why didn't you clean this shit up? Like, pick up this garbage that you've got strewn about
Yeah.
your living
You
space.
have people who can do literal magic coming in all the time. Just have someone magic this away or something.
Why wouldn't you pick any of this stuff up?
Yeah,
that's,
there's like
around your
literal
space?
trash on the floor outside
It's
of her
sloppy.
circle.
I hate it.
It's like when you play, like when you watch a like post-apocalypse movies or like video games like Fallout or something.
Yeah.
And, like there's garbage around and it's like there so it feels like it's a post-apocalypse game.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's
Someone
like,
would have cleaned
nobody's
that up by
picked
now.
this stuff up in like the 100 years since the apocalypse has happened.
Literally, no. Nobody ever did that. Anyway, so Yachio is here, and she gets right to it, asking about Kaeru being abducted, and they're having trouble luring out the witch that's done it, and, you know, talking about the friendship-ending staircase. She pulls out her book of rumors, which is called The Imaginator.
Yeah, which is actually the name of a track on the Magia Record.
Oh, is
OST.
it?
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it a track that's associated with Yachio?
No, it isn't
Weird.
actually.
That's funny.
Very weird. Yeah.
And I won't say who it is associated with it because it's a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
So she's like,
Brushing
Momoko's hair?
with a rose.
A rose-crusted brush.
I guess it shows that they're comfortable with
this
her.
is more like just signaling that Mitama's cursed. Don't trust her.
Yeah, this is
She's
stay
weird.
away from her hair, you creepy bitch.
Yeah, so Momoko and Yachio are here. Like Momoko has come here with Rena and Iroha, looking for Yachio, asking for her help to help them find Kaede. That's like what's happening in this scene.
Yeah.
And Momoko's like, we need your help. Kaede got kidnapped by this weird witch. We can't find the witch no matter what we do. We need your help. Yachio's like, I don't want to work with nuisances. And she looks over at Iroha and she's like, why? And she's basically saying without saying it, why the fuck are you back? I told you not to come back.
Yeah.
And Momoko's like, don't be that way, you're being mean. And Yachio's like, well, I don't fight with weaklings, and she's gonna be a nuisance. And, they're kind of arguing. Momoko's like, well, Kaede got kidnapped. Does that mean you think that she's a weakling, so she is a nuisance? And she's like, no, I just don't want anyone else to be a victim. So they're kind of arguing. And through this whole conversation, Mitama, the coordinator, like, without asking, just walks up with a hairbrush and starts brushing Momoko's hair, like, in a very, like, not even like, hey, do you mind if I touch you? Like, doesn't even ask. She just starts doing it, and they like ignore it. They just kind of let her do it. So it's like they seem very comfortable around her, but it's also weird.
There's a couple of weird shots. Like, first of all, when she's going on about not wanting to have nuisances around her is a shot of broken records.
Yeah.
Which is
very
loaded.
Well,
I get it.
Relevant.
Cute. And then there's like this shot of Chairman over there's fingers dragging along the couch.
That's some big Akio energy.
That's some creepy bullshit. And I'm like, fucking really?
Come on, that's like Akio rubbing the car.
It's literally, it's the same thing.
It is. This is
it.
my possession.
I almost started to like her for a second, and then I got bored again.
And the thing is, like, it's even not as bad as it was in the game when she tried to literally trick Iroha to take her clothes off.
What? Yeah, no, this is worse because
that.
it's subtle. This is more just, she just feels entitled to touch everything.
Well, like that's what that hand thing is.
That's a fair way to look at it too.
That's the coding, is she's touching.
But I am
hair.
glad that joke isn't in here because it was bad in the game.
Bad.
Yeah, I can't remember, so I can imagine.
You blocked it out. But the touching the couch and the touching the hair is like,
you're all my possessions.
Yeah, I feel entitled to
be able to do whatever I want to you.
Yeah, which is like, that's great.
Yeah, and then she's all like, oh, well, we'll adjust Iroha's soul gem, and then we get Vitruvian Man.
The Vitruvian soul gem over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
With text around it.
Yeah. Witch text translations, I didn't get them.
Oh, I don't have them. Magical Growth.
I don't think there is witch text.
Well, there was around the Vitruvian Man.
Oh, right, yes, there was. It just says connect, I think.
This is a frame with a crest in the middle, and I'm dying.
I know, right? Because I'm like, why
this is very...
why is that not the rose crest?
I'm like, because I looked out of like the corner of my eye, and I was like, wait, what?
Why do you not like the female version of Akio? I don't understand.
She's clearly not.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But if she's got Akio energy, I just don't understand like why that's pushing you away.
She had it for a second.
She had it for a second, but it's not sustained by her actual interactions after. She's framed more like Akio than she acts.
Yeah.
And you can't just frame Akio and have my interest. You have to act like it too.
Okay, alright, that's valid. I can understand that. I just wanted to point out that Yachio's whole, like you pointed out, like there was a shot of, like, a bunch of records when she was like, I just don't want the number, I just don't want, it's good, weaklings or nuisances. Yeah, so, I mean, not to get into spoilers, but if you know anything about Yachio's backstory, like, that's the implication with the records there is kind of clear.
Yeah.
I like how Momoko calls her out on it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And Yachio says, like, well, then are you saying that Kaede's a nuisance because she got kidnapped. So
And she's like,
what?
yup.
Does that mean she's weak, like a weakling also? And Yachio says, well, I don't want the number of victims here to get higher. And I'm like, oh, okay, Yachio. I don't care about anybody.
Well,
I just don't want the number of weaklings, the number of victims to get higher. It's like you're
trying hard there.
You hard ass softy
I've, like,
baby.
dipped a toe into her backstory, but not very much. So to me, this is just coming off as bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
I have no frame of reference, and she's just coming across as like that anime trope of like the badass.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is interesting that, like, knowing that backstory, that, like, she isn't getting more pushback on acting the way she does than she is right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, doesn't Momoko also know her backstory? Or does she not?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm especially, like, interested to see that Momoko isn't, like, more tense with Yachio than she is in the episode.
And that's the problem with this episode too, because we mentioned it before, but in the game, Momoko is not friends with Yachio right now. She's
very
antagonistic towards Yachio, and the only thing I can think of about why that's not going to work here in the story is because they try to entice the witch by faking a friend breakup. Momoko and Yachio do, and that would not work in the game because they are not friends.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And it would be very hard to get them together to do that in the first place.
Makes sense.
So, I don't know why they did it that way. They could have just had Iroha and Momoko try to do a fake friend breakup.
Yeah.
But then they wouldn't have had Yachio there to be cool. Maybe they really wanted to have Yachio in this episode.
I feel like they're trying to sell her a lot more than she earns. Like, clearly they feel like she's a character everybody is, like, going to be super interested in and engage with, and I'm
not feeling it so far.
So far, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, it might just be because, like, she is going to be super important, but doesn't seem like it early on in the story, and the creators are trying to be like, well, maybe people will wonder why Yachio is so important if she doesn't do anything for a long time, so we have to inject her in somehow.
Yeah, that's kind of
definitely how it feels.
I'd like this is me, like, because I just overthink everything. That's just how my brain is. And, like, I'm sitting here thinking of, like, how this could have been done a little bit differently. It's always easy to, like, doctor it yourself in your brain. Like, that's always easy, you know? So I'm not trying to make it sound like...
2020
I'm not trying to make
whatnot.
it sound like I think I could have done it better, but I just wonder if, like, what if they had ended the scene with Yachio being like, no, screw you guys, I'm not gonna help you. And then, like, maybe don't make it where Momoko and Yachio are friends. Like, have it be, like, in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe have Yachio, if you want Yachio to be involved more early on, have Yachio show up at the end of this episode to, like, save them, and have her be more involved that way, to try to,
that would have, like, sounded like
involved.
her too, anyway.
Or, if you wanted to have it exactly how it is, however they've set it up, for whatever reasons they have, you could have framed their fake friend breakup more to highlight the fact that maybe it didn't work because they really aren't friends and they really aren't making up.
And
highlight the tension
and
more.
I guess this is spoilers for the gacha story, but you find out in the gacha that they were friends in the past. So you could even do a thing referencing the fact that, hey, well, why don't we, like, we could technically summon this ghost ourselves, and then they each are like, well, screw you, I'm not gonna reconcile with you. And then they, like, they, like, run away.
Yeah.
This sounds to me like the script got written around X characters need to show up at X times.
Yeah.
Instead of having the characters appear at an organic point for when they would, they were trying to, like, I feel like it's being, like, back written to fill in an expected number of, okay, we want this character to be prominent at this point, we want this character to show up now, we want this cameo here, and the script got written to service that instead of the other way around. That's kind of the feel I'm getting.
I wouldn't be surprised,
to be honest.
Yeah. It is a little bit sad. This makes me wonder if the story's going to be this different, like, we probably are going to have to go and do the cell phone story after all.
Yeah.
God.
I think so. Well, there's certainly enough to talk about.
Oh well. Anyway, moving on. So
Iroha is having her soul gem adjusted, and so naturally Mitama gets the lights turned down and starts turning on smaller lights because atmospheric, I guess.
She's got to make this sexy for maximum creepiness.
Yeah, she will die for her aesthetic.
She'll try.
You should be able to hold your own against Kamihama witches with this. And
what is she doing there?
Who even knows? She's got a thing and she's waving it
That
around.
is a reference, I think, to the game. Because in the game, when you get her as a playable battle character, even though she doesn't battle, her quote-unquote weapon is this weird sheet thing that
like a veil.
As far as I know, she never actually uses in the story, but the game treats that as her quote weapon. So I think that's just an Easter egg for the gacha game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, aesthetic-wise, I think it still works. It evokes like she's trying to do something.
Yeah,
mysterious.
she's casting a spell or, And Yachio looks down at Iroha and she's like just about to leave and she's like, listen, you do need to get stronger because if you don't, you're going to keep sacrificing other people to get stuff done. Which is like, woo, jeez.
It's big Homer vibes.
Yeah, Homer vibes, yeah. And then the scene ends.
So like, did she get adjusted or
Did she get adjusted or not? Did it work?
I mean,
stay away from chiropractors.
Yeah, they like hard cut to the school, so it's hard to
tell. The adjustment is elaborated on in the game. And it's actually kind of a major point in the game because Mitama tells her something about, like something that she forgot. I forget what it was exactly. Doesn't she tell her something about Ui?
Yeah, well, the adjustment was where she remembered Ui to begin with.
Yeah, but that already happened in the story here, so I think it just...
Yeah.
I guess that whole thing about... Well, I don't want to say it because I don't know if that's going to be a spoiler in this anime. I don't know. It's hard to say. Let's just keep going, I guess.
We'll save it.
I would assume that she got the adjustment and that we just didn't see the results of it. Because why else would they do all that setup?
Why would they do all this setup and then not pay off?
Yeah, this is the explosion happening off screen. Like, hey, fuck you!
It could come up in a future episode. Like,
it could.
Yeah.
It could.
Yeah.
You know what they could have cut? They could have cut out the excess, cameo from the random Mayu and had that happen to Iroha instead. Yeah. So we could see the adjustment.
We could have been shown the adjustment on a character we give a shit about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they just wanted it to be creepy and weird. I have no idea.
No
idea. See,
I
just, I know I'm very biased here. I'm so biased against Rebellion. I'm being very biased against Magia Record because I want it to be good so bad, you guys.
I do too.
If I'm making excuses for it, I'm aware of that, and I'm sorry. I just want it to be good.
I know.
Yeah.
I sympathize. I do.
It's a struggle.
It really is.
And I don't think it is bad. I just don't think it's great.
It's not great
either so far.
You know what?
It's really not.
What we're missing here is Gen.
Yeah, we're missing Gen.
We need Gen.
We're missing Gen.
Yeah.
This is...
Yeah.
The comparison I made earlier when I was talking about it with Yasha was this feels like J.A. Caesar without Ikuhara.
Aww. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's kind of is. It's Inukuri.
It's literally... Exactly. It feels like
you're getting all of this cool visuals and stuff. You're getting all of this neat design and symbolism and all of that. But where's the... Again...
Why do I care?
Well, like I said in one of our previous
episodes... And that's kind of what I
episodes,
expected from when we first heard that would be
I can't find my footing in this. There's no underlying logic going on that I can, so I'm feeling very
And I find the tone somewhat inconsistent. Like Madoka was solid as a rock with its tone, the tone was, Big my god, everything is bad and scary, and Kyubey is bad and scary.
Yeah.
This is they're having this, chill conversation that should have upbeat music in the background, but it doesn't, and then, a witch shows up, and then an adjuster shows up, and she gropes the couch, and it's very, It's got a lot of flipping around, but not, it doesn't feel like it's setting a pattern doing that. It doesn't sound
Again, I'm having trouble finding my footing in this because it's not,
it's scenes that aren't cohesive.
Yeah. The internal cohesion that Madoka had is not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a tough act
I felt like
to
we
follow.
had a really good tone set in episode 1 that just hasn't really followed through.
It did. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it got a lot lighter as the show went on, but when it got lighter, it also kind of lost its cohesion.
Yeah, I think it was doing better when it was grimdark.
Well, I'm not going to say I want to watch a grimdark thing.
Yeah,
I just want to watch something that, has an idea of where it's going.
I think overall MAGIRECO as a thing is lighter
yeah.
than regular Madoka.
Definitely.
And if they wanted that, it probably should have been more apparent from episode 1.
It's a lot longer. It
has
has a lot more characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more going on. It's still ongoing. Like, we still
Yeah.
don't really know how it's even gonna end. Like, even in the gacha, it's not done yet.
They could pull the rug right out from under us. We don't know yet.
We don't know.
That'd be great. That's what I'm hoping for.
Exactly. So, and it honestly, trying to match the highs and lows of the original was never going to end correctly.
Madoka's a tough act to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Even considering, like, I don't expect this to reach the heights of the original Madoka Magicast.
No.
This isn't even reaching, like, the heights of the gacha game story so far.
No, honestly, that is the strength of being a spin-off instead of a sequel, is that spin-offs get to be their own thing, whereas sequels are always going to be measured against the originals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's kind of like I'm a longtime Zelda fan, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Zelda game series at all.
Not really, but
well,
go on.
Okay, so...
I know a lot about it. I haven't actually played much of it.
Like, the number 1 rated game on Metacritic, like, you guys know what Metacritic is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Is Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64.
Oh, of course.
It's considered, a lot of people consider it the best game ever made. Probably not true anymore. Probably more like the most significant game ever made, like the best reviewed game ever.
One of them, anyway.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And it has a sequel, which was Majora's Mask on the N64. A lot of people don't like that game because it was a sequel to the best game ever made, and it's very different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they did something very different because how the hell do you make a sequel to the game that everybody thinks is the best game ever made ever?
Mm-hmm.
Still, 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then the game that came out after that was the Wind Waker, which is like a weird cartoon game, which is, again, like completely fucking different.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to be different, because you can't replicate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do lightning in a bottle again and have it work the same way again, is what I'm trying to say, basically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't seem to want to commit to that, though.
No.
Is maybe the way why it feels different.
Yeah, and like, there are people, like, I watched this episode on Crunchyroll, and I would scroll down to the comments, and there were people in the comments for this episode complaining that this wasn't dark, like, why doesn't this feel the same way as Madoka Magica? Like,
I mean, but like, who cares about whether it's dark or not? The more serious tone of episode 1 was serving it pretty well, but...
Exactly. Yeah, so, like, the writing not being as good, that's, like, a problem that it has, but also, like, it is trying to be its own thing. Like, this is a situation where trying to be more visual and emotional, I think, is a better way to do it.
Right.
Because it's not a sequel. It's like a spin-off. It's trying to do its own thing. You know what I'm saying?
And yeah, no, I do hate those comments when I read them to the people who clearly were only into Madoka because it was about little girls suffering.
Yeah,
thanks, you're the reason this exists. I hate it.
Yeah.
Right. Go away, please.
Anyway, maybe we should go back to the episode summary. So we're at the school, we're at the university affiliated school, and they head for the friendship ending staircase because there's no sense in drawing things out.
Go straight to the source.
And they decide to draw the witch out the way that seems to work and write their names on the friendship ending staircase. And they decide that Momoko and Yachio will be the ones to do this, since I guess we're supposed to assume that they're friends, just taking all of the stuff out of the game out of the account.
But that staircase in the middle of the school, holy shit.
Yeah, that's quite a staircase.
That is quite the staircase.
Dark and creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume it goes all the way up to the roof, because that's where they end up.
I think they said at one point that it goes up like four floors or something like that.
That's quite a lot.
This continues the trend of gigantic Madoka schools.
Yes.
So they write their names on the staircase, and they're trying to detect any magic there and getting their plan set up. And this is leading into them all transforming into their magical girl forms, which we get to see in extended fashion, which I feel like, in theory, I should say this is not needed, especially when the pacing of this episode could use the extra space. On the other hand,
as fuck.
This is catnip. It's dope as fuck, and I love it. And I'm not going to complain about it.
all three of these transformations.
Go on. Honestly, I feel like this is a crumb thrown out for, people who are into magical girls kind of thing and really want to see these transformation sequences, but they feel really out of place.
Hello, this scene is for me specifically.
Yeah.
This is definitely, like, this is for certain people.
And I am not the person it's for.
I loved all of them. I don't know if they were for me, but at least as far as this episode goes, these are normally not for me, but I loved them all, so I guess they were for me in this instance.
I'm very picky about my magical girl transformations, and these are very, very good ones.
Now let's slow down here because I want to talk about each of these. The first one.
Do you want me to run back to Yachio?
No, you don't have to because it goes by pretty quickly, and I took some notes here, and
okay.
Well, also, we have not yet talked about Yachio's design, because we saved that. We didn't talk about it in episode 1. So let's talk about this transformation, and then we can talk about Yachio herself. It starts off, Yachio's got her soul gem. It's a little crescent moon, which I like, and it's not too long of a transformation. Hers is probably the longest out of this little sequence, but she pulls out her crescent moon, and she holds it up in like, her 2 fingers, and she kind of has rain fall around her. Her transformation, her theming is very watery, and it kind of fills up her silhouette like it's like pouring water into a glass. Like, it fills up her silhouette.
Now there's a tall drink of water.
It turns light blue, and then it kind of kicks her leg out, and it turns into her magical girl outfit, which is like a long blue dress with a slit down the middle over one leg, and she wears sandals, and she has, I don't want to call it a garter belt, even though that's basically what it is, because it's more like a bangle around her leg.
Yeah.
It looks more like jewelry or metal. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't call that a garter. It's something, though.
Kuroe had an actual, like, lacy piece of cloth around her
And
thigh.
we haven't seen her, and I'm not expecting to see her for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, it has been a bit.
Where the hell is she?
Almost like she wasn't in the story at this
Gee.
point.
Okay. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, she gains armor over her chest and her shoulders, so she's got like a chest brace and armor on her shoulder armor. She's got gloves. Interesting, she has sandals, so another person with open-toed shoes who's gonna break her toes. And then in the mobile gacha, she gets this veil, I don't want to call it a headband, but this thing that goes around
like a headdress.
And in the gacha, there's these long strings that come down that end in beads. So it's like these beaded tassels. And, you know, that would be a nightmare to animate. So in the anime here, they turn it into like a veil, like a wedding veil, kind of.
I get what they wanted here. They wanted to do like a sea and sky thing with her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't land to me because those are 2 different things that are blue, and it just feels confused. Like, why is there space stuff on the sea stuff?
I kind of see it. No, I
like
see it more of as clouds and night sky. That's kind of
the
more
water?
what I got out of it.
Well, also, like, a sea of stars is a term.
Yeah.
And people talk about the
Lana's
sky
just
looking
whining.
like an ocean of stars.
I got more like clouds, rain, night sky kind of feel from it. And then her soul gem is the moon shape, you know?
I can't see the stars in the sky.
Stop whining! It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I'll bear it.
I super love her design. Like, she's great. She is not over-designed. She has a good silhouette.
Oh yeah, she's way better than
her colors are very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if we're talking the Night on the Galactic Railroad connections again.
Oh yeah.
Campanella drowned in a river.
Yeah, there is that.
She has a spear for a weapon, which looks very cool.
It's almost a trident.
Yeah, her soul gem hangs from a necklace around her neck that kind of gets tucked underneath her chest armor. Or it's maybe it's a charm that hangs from her armor. It's kind of hard to tell exactly. It's just overall very cool. She has fingerless gloves. I just really, really like it. It's very cool. And we've joked that she is the oldest and the most covered.
I know.
Which is
cursed.
Take that as you will. So, yes, that is Yachio and her design. Love her. She's my wife. Then we have Momoko.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we talked a bit about Momoko
We don't have
last
to cover
time.
her design.
We don't have to cover her outfit, but I do like the transformation.
Yeah.
It's very action-y and kind of
punchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a transformation like this in every group Magical Girl show, the fiery one with all the explosions. This is very Magical Girl.
Feels
I like her
Kyoko.
Kicking the hole in her sword.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
That's so good.
That's kind of cute. It's very like, oh, okay, that makes her make more sense.
And then we have Reina.
Who I don't think they knew what they wanted to do with, so they just sort of did everything.
I don't know, I feel like I get a really strong theme from her.
Hers
the
is
mirrors,
just
yeah.
mirrors.
But
like Mirror, that's what her attack is, like her
Is
Magia
the
attack
changing into...
I think I showed you that
I
one.
think it's that shot, like, of her falling through everything.
Yeah, like
that
her whole
doesn't work for me.
thing is like
Yeah,
identity.
She's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
inward looking. She's very navel gazy. Like,
Yeah.
like it makes
Yeah.
sense.
But
to me.
she's another water person with a trident, though.
I mean, fair.
It
Well,
is fair.
Yachio has a spear, not a trident. There is technically a difference between spears.
But
and
they
tridents.
look very...
They do look
The
kind of similar.
aesthetic
Yeah.
is similar.
Yeah, but they do have pretty different
Yeah.
theming. I mean, she
Yeah.
clearly has a little bit more of like an actual overt magical girl kind of feeling to her.
She
And-
does, definitely.
Yeah, she even has like, you could call it like
Yeah,
an
well,
idol.
Well, it's
or
more,
something.
it's more childish and kind of...
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
little more
Yeah.
colorful. She's got some pink and yellow to her too, not just blue.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until like thinking about it in the context of this episode, but like the gradients in her outfit seem to reflect like her multiple identities too, like all the different
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah. Actually, Vanna, if you think of it as identity-based and not element-based, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm so used to thinking in terms of elements.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it a lot more when the show doesn't stick to these element things because that feels a little bit too
Mhm.
video gamey for me. Like I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I wonder
understand
why.
that Maji-Reko is a video game. Like, I get that. But I like the fact that Rena in this show has a little bit more of a mirrors and light and, like, almost like... And she, like, summons her spear with a lightning bolt. So it's
Yeah.
not really very watery. Like, she does...
It's almost like a girly
Yeah,
Poseidon kind of
there
thing.
is some water there, but I felt like Yachio was much more water-themed than
Mhm.
Rena
Oh,
is.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Iroha's is very good.
Yeah, and the water's not entirely off brand for that theme either, because water is
Identity, yeah.
seen as a very
Yeah,
mercurial
yeah.
element.
I actually love Eros.
Iroha's is running through Tron World.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
She's running through like a black and neon grid space, and then she jumps
Yeah,
off of
cool.
an edge, and now she's like falling off of the side of a building, and she transforms without her hood, and then she falls to catch up to a sparkly
Silhouette of herself.
spirit version of herself wearing the hood, and catches it, and then she gets her hood. It's very cool.
It is
Actually,
super
you know
cool.
what
I
it
like it.
reminded me of? And this is probably the worst connection to make. It reminded me of the first episode of Serial Experiments Lane.
Oh,
Oh,
I can see that actually. Oh,
Aaron understands. I heard
yeah.
that. Oh!
the girl who kills herself.
It took me a second.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, and I was just like, wait, what? Oh, okay, we're fine.
I don't know. I kind of read it as indicative of just her character arc in general, running through like a big empty space where she's like just kind of lost and jumping into a big unknown city and embracing her
Yeah.
new identity.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I just meant I made that connection in my head with Lane.
But yeah, no, it's also literally a little girl jumping
Yeah.
off a building.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So I like the way her crossbow shows
And
up.
I like the arrows sort of like ricocheting off and then landing
Yeah.
on her
Yeah.
arm.
So, yes, it cuts from the transformations to the rooftop. Chair watch.
Chair watch.
Chair watch.
Many chairs.
All around the roof fence around the top are chairs, just lined up, facing towards the inside of the roof.
And then there's a giant pile of
A
chairs
giant pile of
elsewhere.
chairs
Yeah.
stacked up on the top of the doors that lead up to the roof for some
Looks
strange
like
reason.
Chairs,
Chairs
and
and
desks.
tables.
And desks. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
desks, yeah, you're right.
All kinds of nonsense. And they're
So-
trying to like rehearse this breakup and makeup, and
It's clearly
Well-
rehearsed lines. Like, it's very
it
fake.
doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah, it's
Of
like,
course
yeah, okay,
nothing's happening.
okay, Yachio, you try apologizing to me, and Yachio's like, oh, I'm sorry, and nothing happens.
Momoko, I'm very
Yeah.
sorry.
Mhm.
And Ren is like, okay, like, I have to do it. And she's like, oh, okay. Oh, Rena, I'm so sorry. Come back. And again, like, it doesn't work. And, and it's like, okay, fine. So Rena tries to apologize, but again, it's just not working. Like, nothing happens. And Iroha's like, maybe it's not working because you don't really mean it. Which Rena kind of glares at
It's like,
her and she says sorry. But then Rena's like, you know what? No, I don't mean it because I don't want to
Fuck
say
that bitch.
yeah, because you know what? I don't feel like I want to say sorry yet.
And just the crows everywhere.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's like as soon as
major birdwatch continuing again as well.
Raina started to apologize, and then all of a sudden, there was a big flock of crows in the sky, and they started circling, and now they're like perched on everything, cawing, and they're like getting more and more prominent as her non-apology goes on.
Okay, so I wanted to stop it here and be like, okay, so we do know that maybe some people who didn't know anything about the story were maybe disappointed by this episode, expecting something big to happen. If you were watching this episode not knowing anything, do you feel like Rena is being death flagged here at all? Like, do you feel like this might be leading up to her, like, getting killed off? Like, something big going on? No?
No.
I didn't get that sense for it, but I generally am not good at detecting that kind of thing.
She does have birds circling over her right now. You know,
I got the impression they wanted me to think that, but I know I'm watching an anime about a gacha game, so...
Yeah.
I mean, but the more characters
I think I just got a general sense of
the more
ominous.
Characters you kill off, the more new ones you can bring in, right?
It wouldn't have been sufficiently punchy to kill off the character nobody likes. Because she's an unlikable character. You have to kill off someone
that's
like,
true. You gotta make it.
They are literally spending this scene trying to make you feel
sorry for her. You gotta kill
though.
the mommy. You know, the person like, oh, she's pleasant and friendly. Dead.
That is part of why I think this episode did not work the first time I watched it, because this episode doesn't do enough to make her sympathetic.
Yeah, she's just suddenly having this like breakdown, and honestly, I found this the most sympathetic thing about the episode.
To be honest,
this worked just fine for me.
Well, but the thing is, it does do a lot. It just does it. It's very dense in this next scene coming up in a few minutes. So let's just keep watching until it gets to that.
Yeah. Like ideally, it would have been better with a character we've spent more time with.
Yeah, this doesn't feel earned by what I've found out about the characters up to this point.
Yeah. So she's saying like, you know what? I don't feel bad. I don't want Kai to come back. And I'm still mad at her. And Momoko's like, what are you saying? Don't you want her to come back? And she's like, of course I want her to come back. And like, why does everyone always say that like shit to me? Of course I do. And if I say that I don't, then obviously I'm going to look more and more like a villain. And everyone's going to hate me more and more. And that stupid Kaede is so sweet and saint-like and innocent. And she always says sorry for everything constantly. And why is she always saying sorry when I'm such a bitch to her all the time? Can't she just stick to her guns for once and be mad at me instead of saying sorry all the time? I don't deserve, like, I can kind of relate to what she's saying. So you're right.
This strikes me as realistic. I have heard, like, people talk about like this about themselves.
Because I do know some people who are very, I don't want to say, like, there are some people who are way too ingratiating and, like, and I've been like this when I was a little kid, like always over apologizing for things.
Yeah, like put up a fight, damn it.
Oh, I do that all the time. I've been told
or
that
like
about
somebody
me.
Who over apologizes, and then at a certain point, it's like, can you please stop apologizing? You're making me feel like I'm actually doing something wrong, and I know I'm not. So you need to please stop apologizing because it's making me feel bad about myself. Yep. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the feeling I got from what she's saying here. But at the same time, like, you are kind of being, like, really mean sometimes. Like, we don't see enough times of...
Well, I don't think we've ever really seen her not being mean to Kaede.
No, she's always being kind of bitchy.
That's that's us not spending enough time with these characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And but we also see Kaede being kind of a fuck-up, too, so we can kind of understand what she's saying. Like, it also does make sense that she's saying Kaede is like that, but we don't really see them interact with each other enough.
Yeah, we never see them interact in a positive way. We never see them interact in a way that isn't, like, just Rin sniping. And
or really in a negative way. Or really, like, we never see Kaede interacting with her in a negative way. Like, we never see Kaede doing the thing that she's complaining about. So this is just another thing where it's like,
it's more show don't tell. It's like, show don't tell.
Exactly.
At work here.
So, like,
you're telling us this happened, but we're not seeing it.
Right. Yeah, so it's another thing where it's like, if I sit here and I'm taking notes for a podcast and I'm like trying to analyze what's happening, I can kind of appreciate more. But if you're just sitting here watching it for the first time, it's like, doesn't really click.
It's going by
so quickly that it doesn't really click with you emotionally. So eventually she gets to the point where she's yelling that, I hate you, Kaede. I actually hate you. And you know, and then all the birds that have been circling fly away. And then she starts crying, and she says, "What I'm really sorry about is forcing you to be my friend this whole time. And even if you do come back with me, I'm never going to be friends with you again. Like, we're never going to reconcile. So I'm really just sorry for us being friends to begin with. And this pleases the Uwasa. This apparently does the job." Because the birds turn into shadowy people.
And chains.
We get stairs and chains everywhere.
Snakes and...
Right. And this is a great, like, it seems like it's going to be a great intro to this whole, like, Uwasa sequence. Seems like being the keyword.
Yeah.
Seems. Yeah.
Seems like.
I mean, I thought it was okay. You didn't like it? Please tell us. Please discuss.
Well, this next sequence where it's, like, the inner Rena thoughts, I really like.
She's the idol
this is
show.
The best part of the Uwasa sequence.
This is the best part of the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, because this is show don't tell. This is showing all of Rena's baggage, like, just out on the table. Anyway, so all of a sudden inside this Uwasa stair space that we've been in, we cut to a dark space where there's an idol concert happening all of a sudden. And then we realize that it's Rena watching the concert on TV with really blank eyes. And as she watches the concert, she's also imagining in, like, sepia blue tones Kaede coming to her at night and apologizing about saying that they weren't friends anymore. And as Kaede is apologizing, Rena is just kind of standing there with her arms over her chest and not saying anything, eyes blank, and wondering why Kaede is always the one to apologize when it's not really her fault. It's Rena's fault for being a bitch in the first place, and she should be the one apologizing. She recognizes that about herself. And we realize that Rena's problem is that she knows all too well that she is mean to people and is not the greatest person a lot of the time, and is very harsh on people, and she hates that about herself. She has a lot of self-loathing going on, and she says that right out loud, like, I hate Rena, I hate myself. I'm not sure how I feel about them having translated that as I hate Rena, because it sounds like it should have just been I hate myself.
Well, she was still speaking...
That sounds weird in English.
As Momoko, right? I think that was Momoko's voice actress saying it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah,
No?
because later on we see that it's Momoko sitting on the bed and saying that she hates Rena.
Yeah, it's Momoko sitting
on
on the bed, but I felt like it was Rena's voice actress the whole way through, wasn't it?
I guess I could be wrong. I would have to go back and, like, listen to it.
Maybe. Yeah, I would have to check to be sure.
Could you tell who it was?
It sounds like Rena.
Yeah.
Oh, could you tell what she said in Japanese? Did she say Rena at any point during that sentence?
She said Rena ga daikirai, and I understand that that's literally what she said, but I don't think you don't have to translate that as literally I hate Rena in English.
Yeah.
The way that sentence goes.
Oh.
Well, I mean, because in Japanese, you do refer to yourself in third person sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
whereas you wouldn't necessarily
in
in English.
In Japanese, yeah.
So
it's a translation moment.
And then we see Iroha lying on the floor
of what seems to be Rena's bedroom. And there's a whole bunch of, like, idol merchandise up. It's clear that Rena is enamored with this idol on the TV who is another girl in Magireco whom you can definitely pull into gacha. Don't worry about it. And then Iroha doesn't spot Rena on the bed. She sees Momoko watching the TV. And quote-unquote, Momoko asks, "Do you like Rena?" Obviously not, right? And starts complaining about Rena.
She has a bad personality, everyone hates her. Yeah.
Basically just voicing all this stuff that we've seen Rena criticize about herself. And Iroha is very confused, obviously, but the audience can tell pretty clearly that this is not, in fact, Momoko.
Yeah.
We start to get some shots on the screen of, like, texts coming by saying nasty things.
Now, this is where, like, the fact that this just flashes is a real, like, this hurts the episode that a viewer cannot pause this and just read this. Because this is good stuff.
Well, like, I mean, you can if you're watching it on digital, but not if you're watching the broadcast.
No, not if you're watching the broadcast, and not unless you want to interrupt your viewing to pause the episode and watch something that they're not actually putting in the show for you to actually digest just watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They're just flashing this on the screen.
Oh, actually,
it's not really
and I'm just checking on the episode wiki right now. It's just as well that that flashed by and we complained about not being able to read it, because it's not actually saying nasty things. It's actually Rena's what she wished she could say to Kaede. It's saying, I'm not good with reptiles, so I'm sorry, I still think they're creepy. I'm sorry for calling your pet creepy, Kaede. Because Kaede has lizards.
Right.
Rena has called them gross before.
Yeah, and it's things that she wished she could be able to say. It also kind of looks like diary entries, because some of the other stuff that comes up is it just seems like her personal thoughts, kind of.
Yeah, these diaries are all about how much she hates herself. Also, the Funimation subtitle looks like it has an error here. It says her last name is Mizuki, but that's wrong.
Yeah. It's really sad. It's just very teenage girl stuff. Like, I hate my name, I hate my body, I hate my personality, like, just everything about myself I hate. I wish I could throw everything away. I want to change everything about myself.
What's interesting about the I want to change, why haven't I changed, is she's not Momoko anymore there. She's Mitama.
Yeah. So while this is happening, and this is what we're talking about, like, this is good show don't tell.
Yeah, this is very good.
As she's having this monologue, she keeps changing who she is. Now, so then she changes to Mitama, then she changes to Kaede, then she changes to Yachio. She's talking about how she prefers to just be, like, the diary entries are talking about how she would like to just be with Momoko instead of Kaede. Why did Kaede have to come along? But Momoko also has the wrong idea about her being a mean person. But, like, you know, she apparently, her wish from Kyubey was to have the power to change into other people.
Or into someone else, basically.
Change into someone else, but her wish didn't come true because she never changed at all, and she's still just the same person that she hates. It's all very sad. But none of it is being shown to us. These are flashes of diary entries that are coming on the screen for a fraction of a second.
I think visually it still gives off an effect, like, even if you don't know what they say, but it's definitely could have been, like, stronger, better, I suppose, if you could see them for longer.
Yes.
Well, the reptile thing you mentioned makes a lot more sense now that, like, I see that the Witch Labyrinth here is full of reptile imagery.
Yeah, like, the episode is stronger if you slow this down a little bit and you take a little bit of time to look at what's happening on the screen, to read what's on these things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you decompress a little bit.
Yeah, the episode doesn't have enough time in it to do that work. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when I watch this again to take notes for this podcast, I had a little bit of a better appreciation for
Yeah, like, I kind of wonder if this would have been better with, like, hour-long episodes.
Yeah. It's just sad. Makes me feel like what could have been.
Kind of.
But anyway, in the middle of all this, we finally hear from what seems to be the real Kaede from the television screen, and she asks what Rena's doing there. And the screen cracks, and I guess that's all it takes to bust Rena out of her, like, depressive fugue state.
No, not bad.
Which I like the sentiment there that, like, a friend reaching out can be very powerful when you're in that kind of headspace.
Yeah.
On the other hand, well, maybe we'll talk about it more when we compare the scene to how it is in the game, but yeah, maybe I'll save that for after we go through the summary of the scene as is.
Maybe that would be a better way to cover the game on the show.
To compare it to the anime.
Well, in the game, this is what happened.
Yeah. Although I don't know, I also don't want to constantly be that person who's like, well, in the game it was like this.
Yeah, it's
well,
true.
still, I mean, it's a useful insight to bring to this because this is based on the game.
Yeah.
So how they did it right or wrong in one versus
how they did it right and wrong in the other.
Yeah.
But first, let's talk about this, how this scene plays out in the anime, and then I can get into how it plays out in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, the glass breaks and they reappear in that weird staircase labyrinth with all the chains and the snake imagery. And Kaede is there and starts saying, like, Reina, whenever you feel sad, you always transform into Momoko, and starts basically kind of scolding her.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Like, whose fault do you think this all is? And basically saying that Reina has caused her trouble.
They start bickering in a way that's kind of played off as everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of deflates the tension a bit in my eyes.
Yeah. Yachio says that she senses them, and suddenly Kyubabby appears.
Kyubabby!
Yay!
He's adorable.
I'm sorry, I unambiguously love Kyubabby.
I love Kyubabby.
That is a cute little fucker.
Yep. And he lands on Iroha's shoulder and then bounds away on the staircases. So naturally, Iroha's like, well,
I'm gonna chase
follow
Kyubabi.
that.
This is the most interesting thing that's happened to this episode, says Zero.
And they're
basically
fighting
they
now?
are now fighting this witch thing, whatever it is. This is the part where they've kind of rescued Kaede at this point, and they are now taking it out.
Yeah, they're fighting the familiars, which are locks with bows on them.
Locked with bows and chains. And Kaede fights with tree roots, which is cool. Iroha's shooting her crossbow bolts, and Kaede and Rena are running up some stairs to help the veterans.
Okay, I love that the stairs are spiraling, and on the underside of them is
the snake
the
scales.
snake scale.
Yeah.
That
I
was
didn't
very
notice
cool
that.
effect.
Yeah, that's what
So you
snakes
can
look
see
like
a little
underneath.
bit of it.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
there.
yeah. You can see, like, scales, like, flying around in weird places.
Yep. Well, yeah, but also on the side of the staircase.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
Look, the whole underside of it is like, so it's like a snake with stairs on its back.
Kaede says, I
'Cause
can
the
hear you
rectal.
apologizing, and I heard that you hate her. And Rena's like, okay, well then you heard, so you know now. And Rena's like, yeah, but I don't like the idea of us not being friends, and I want to be friends anyway, even though you said that. So why don't you just apologize instead now? If you want to be apologizing this whole time, then why don't you just start apologizing? And then she's like, oh, hey, wait a second, you just apologized a bunch of times. And Rena's like, still being like too shy to apparently apologize. She's being like, well, that doesn't count. And then Kaede's like, well, then our breakup doesn't count. Like, it kind of seems like she's finally sticking up for herself. Like maybe taking some of this to heart. Then, so, like, why don't we just stay the way we were, and I'll still like you? Like, she's basically saying, everything's fine. We can still be friends. I'm not mad at you. And, we can still keep being friends the way they were. And Rena's like, okay, but you have to start, like, letting me apologize when things are actually my fault and not just letting me, like, walk all over you all the time. It's basically kind of what I got out of this conversation, yeah. So, good.
And in the meantime, Yachio and Momoko kill the big witch bell thing with, like,
as, like,
one
an
shot.
afterthought almost.
With one shot. It's like, bang, it's done.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay.
Pretty much.
And then Rena and Kaede explode it into leaves.
Yes.
With some cool powers.
With
With
the literal power
their-
of friendship.
Yes.
Literally.
Yep.
With mirrors and tree roots and leaves.
It's very ooh.
This is basically her magia from the game.
Yeah.
Then combined with Kaede's.
Yeah.
And it's dead.
It is dead.
The end.
Killed the witch, or whatever it is.
And
Where's
then
Kyubabi? There's Kyubabi!
Kyubabi shows up, crawls
Oh my
around on
God,
Iroha's
it's so
shoulders,
fucking
and then
cute.
disappears, that fucker.
Hmm.
I'm getting mad at him disappearing all the time. Fucking do something.
Yeah, basically, their only function in this episode was to point out that the bell was the most important part of the thing, and you should kill it.
Pretty much,
Pretty
but
much.
that's sure.
Okay.
It's a baby. He's learning. Okay, so she's trying to, like, ask.
Rena's trying to,
she's
like,
tried so hard.
trying so hard to
Be my
and then she
can't even get the word
be
out.
my
Yeah.
servant.
I'm like, oh, yeah, this is some energy. This is what I do.
So,
You should have said servant. That would have been funnier. Kaede, you missed a great opportunity here.
they're very cute.
Yeah, Kaede. So Kaede says, "You've been and always will be my friend, Rena," and grabs her hand, and I guess they're friend and servant now.
I now pronounce you friend and servant.
Sounds like most marriages, really.
These are the two genders, friend and
Friend
servant.
and servant.
But this witch did not drop a grief
Yeah,
seed.
so Yachio is convening with Iroha and Momoko, and she observes that it did not drop Grief Seed, and it did not give off any magic before it appeared, and she has heard rumors of witches that don't appear until conditions of rumors are met. So, as we will learn, these things are called rumors. But it's interesting that the show calls them witches that do not appear unless rumors are met. So they're kind of calling them witches.
Yeah.
Whereas the game
Yeah.
says they are explicitly not witches, like right off the bat.
I think it's mostly
Right.
that in this, as I understand it, in this form of the story, they haven't quite solidified that fact yet. Like, they still kind of wonder if they're witches, but maybe they're not, and they haven't quite settled on the term yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like Yachio is less far
They're
along in her
discovering it.
investigations than she was in the game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be honest, I kind of wish that the translation would just call them Uasa.
Yeah, and I think they will, because they did in those song lyrics in episode 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Uasa.
Yeah.
That could come back. I liked that tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that as a name for them, because if you just call them rumors in English, it
gets very confusing.
And
to be fair, it's probably confusing in Japanese, because they do just use the uasa for both terms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's more clear with witch, because a witch is a witch. Whereas a rumor, there's like the commonplace rumor, like in daily life, and then there's the rumor as in the monster in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you can say uasa for the monster, and then rumor when other characters are talking. Like,
and I guess since it's in like the mobile game, you also see like the text to go along with it. I wonder if it's written with different characters too.
That is also possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they write it in katakana when they're talking about the monster or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. So, Yachio pieces out and is like, oh, you make a good team. And then she
jumps off the building all
pieces
dramatically.
So,
yep.
At the end of the day, we ultimately see that Randa agrees to use her power to help go back to the hospital and look for MacGuffin-chan, which is how this whole argument started in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
She discovers that nobody remembers MacGuffin-chan, but people do remember those two friends of hers whose names are Toka and Nemu. We discover they don't remember when they were there or when they were discharged, but they were there. They do exist, so their existence is confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So Iroha has a new thing to start looking for, a new lead to try to look for her sister, and that is essentially the end of the episode.
Very surprised the hospital wouldn't have like direct records of that kind of thing.
They would. Yeah.
So something's fishy there.
Vana, bring your expertise to
But they wouldn't
bear.
provide them to
They wouldn't provide them,
Also,
no.
you can't, as a nurse, you can't look that kind of stuff up just out of nowhere either.
Okay.
So.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, maybe
So
if she was
asking
asking as a nurse, asking a colleague, it would be, maybe it would be like, oh, I don't remember, as opposed to like asking someone to go look something up.
I mean, yeah, in that case, you would totally be like, oh, do you remember that so-and-so? Oh, God, what was her name? Like, you can do that sort of thing. You're not supposed to, but you
Do you
can.
remember those two girls who set that one room on fire that one time?
Yeah, that would be how you would, but you wouldn't like, oh, hey, can you pull up the records of those two kids that set the shit on fire? Like, it would
that
be
would
more
be-
of a-
Why? Why do you need that?
Yeah, she
Why-
probably,
yeah, exactly.
she was, Rena already expressed like worry about like breaking her cover, so she probably wouldn't want to push it too far.
Yeah. She's probably not, unfamiliar with having to cover her tracks this way. So, but yeah, so
So Iroha has a new lead, and
Toka and Nemu, they're gonna look for those.
at least she knows they're real now.
Right.
So that's
You know,
something.
I keep, Toka and Nemu is like,
Why?
Tokiko and Nemu.
Oh my god,
What?
you're right!
Oh, God.
Sorry. Oh!
It's more Utena stuff.
And they set shit on fire!
That's terrible.
It is terrible, but I didn't put it there.
I know you
Anyway.
didn't. Anyway.
It's even like
So-
brown hair and pink hair.
It's
Now we get badly CG'd
Oh, Lord,
train.
it is. This
Oh,
is a
interesting.
reference.
I'm just looking at some of the screenshots on the wiki right now for this episode, and they're pointing out that there is a, like, composition similarity between Iroha thanking Rena for what she just did, and the bit in episode 10 of the original anime where Glasses Homura greets Madoka on her second go-round in the classroom.
Okay.
Oh,
So I don't know what the significance of that is, but that is interesting. It seems very deliberate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, it could be something as simple as, hey, this was in the other show, we're going to put it in this one.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it could have an underlying
It's hard to
reason
know.
to it.
So
So,
yeah, just because I
Again,
don't know what the
no.
reason is doesn't mean there isn't one.
yeah, exactly. So, now we get
I'll find you. She's all revved up now again.
revved up to find MacGuffin-chan.
Sorry for making you my friend. Episode 3. Is this
All
the
right.
one that has the long,
Yes,
this
this has the long
post-credits?
post-credit scene.
Yes.
So, I'm going to skip past...
We can skip this is definitely an important character, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although apparently there is something interesting about the ending theme. Apparently the numbers on the elevator changed between episode 2 and episode 3.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of crap they'd pull.
Yeah.
That sounds very...
Yeah. And someone also pointed out that, like, if you count, like, the number of days, like, if you count the numbers as in a number of days, it matches up to about the number of years Yachio has been a magical girl.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So,
So we have a post-credit sequence.
And it starts out with very shiny roads.
Very
Think.
shiny roads.
I think.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Headlights
it's
and
Mommy.
taillights. And Mommy
And twin tails.
shows up.
It is the first appearance.
And Cube
And it's
also
Cube
shows up.
not Cube Abby.
Yes. It's evil Cube.
It's evil Cube, and he looks very evil. Is it true
And-
you can't enter Kamiyama City?
And Cube goes to demonstrate.
Cube goes
that,
and just plop.
Yep, he loses consciousness whenever he tries to go into Kamiyama
It's
City.
really
That's
funny.
amazing.
It's
It's actually kind of funny.
He
is.
walks over apparently to the city's boundary and just loses the
passes
life
out.
in his eyes and just flops over. and like
Mommy picks him up and
Yeah.
takes him back because
And
Mommy's like that.
more Utena-ish
Oh,
ouch in the background. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
whenever we see a Ferris wheel like this, it's
yeah,
just
that's a
it's
permanently
flashbacks.
cursed ride.
Permanently
forever now.
cursed.
Like I said.
So,
he wants her to go investigate it.
and then he starts buttering her up
Yeah,
badly.
yeah,
because
whatever,
this is Cube.
Cube.
Fuck off.
Only an exceptional magical girl could do this.
yeah, Cube
Exactly.
wants Mommy to go into Kamiyama City and find out for him why he cannot go into Kamiyama City. And
Mhm.
why Kamiyama City witches are so much stronger than other witches.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
he essentially plants this lie, for the most part, in her brain that there's a rumor going around that someone is trying to monopolize all the witches and keep all the grief seeds for themselves. Because as far
Yeah.
as I remember, there has been no mention of that up to this point in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know what? If you were Cube, that's what would make sense to you.
Yeah.
So he
yeah.
might not be
So, I
lying.
mean,
He
like-
might just be assuming.
That just sounds like what I would think is going on if I were Cube, and I don't know about Cube.
plotting to monopolize all the grief seeds. Like, I don't know. That just feels really thin to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
for one,
capitalism is bad.
what is this? Communist Cube?
Communist Cube.
Sees the means of witch production.
That's right.
That's Cuba's thing, isn't it?
Sees the means of grief seed production.
Yep.
Actually, I think that was more Kyoko's approach, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
She was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna farm grief seeds.
I'm pretty sure Cube is the capitalist in this situation,
Mhm.
and that the
Probably,
magical girls
yeah.
are the ones trying to, like...
Probably, yeah.
Sorry,
But he's
this-
pretending that
yeah.
he's not.
Yeah.
No, he's more libertarian. He's like, yo, but you chose to be part of this system.
Exactly.
So, Mommy says...
So mommy's gonna go investigate.
Yeah. She's like, I can't ignore this. Are the unusual events in Kamihama due to a witch or a magical girl? And is that the shaft look? That's not quite the shaft.
No,
It's not
it's
quite.
not.
It's almost.
So her neck
It's not
has
the
to be
shaft
more
shot.
broken for that to be the shaft look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have to wonder if they did this as an open and an end credit scene as a like a, hey, were you disappointed that little girls didn't die? Well, don't worry. The original little girl who died is coming up
Dies
next in the
here.
next
Yeah,
episode.
I have wondered
Yeah.
if that's why they brought her in as the stinger for this episode. Because
Yeah.
we couldn't kill someone in this episode, but we can call back to the episode where we did
kill,
that
We can kill mommy.
Yeah.
in our episode 3
Look,
this
she's
time.
getting manipulated again by the guy who manipulated her the first time.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Remember this thing you
Yeah.
liked last time? I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
and that end shot of cursed. Hate it.
At least it's not as bad as the one in episode 2.
Now hold on, isn't
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
artist
fair.
of this end title screen is Punyang? Isn't this the character designer of Mitama?
I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
Punyang
Well, we should
is...
probably mention that the cap here is Mitama.
Yes.
And she's looking all sexy or something.
It's not as bad as episode 2.
No.
But it's still there.
it's still hornier
I don't
than
know.
I'd care
I didn't
for.
mention this when we were
think you
going
might be
through
right.
her
Yeah.
character design, but what's bugging me about her the most is the fact that her buttons on her shirt are straining to contain those boobs.
Yeah, like,
I can't look away.
why wouldn't
It's
she
just
wear
like-
a shirt that fit? Come on, guys. We wear clothing
She's-
that fits, dudes.
She's wearing like
Dude,
7
that's-
layers of clothing.
Clearly,
so-
dudes are very
If her
disappointed
shirt
by
didn't
that.
fit, then the buttons, you could see her bra through the buttons. Like,
Yep.
you know what I'm talking about? That's not how blouses work when they don't fit boobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't know how boobs work.
No.
No.
I think if anime proves anything, it's that men don't know how boobs work. So yeah.
So, yeah.
That was episode
that
three.
That was episode 3.
I think
And
it was very good.
the dense parts are really good, but
Yeah.
the rest of it is like
It's too dense.
The pacing is so bad.
It's too dense.
Well,
it could have
it's too
easily
dense.
had an extra episode in between all of that.
Weirdly, it's too dense and not dense enough in some places.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got that one really, really dense spot that you have to like pause every time to see what's going on. But the rest of it is very light and it doesn't really...
You know what's funny about that? It fails to do something, and maybe it's because it was using text, and maybe this works better if you read Japanese. But in Madoka, when you get to the Witch Labyrinth, it conveys a lot of information very quickly in the visual language it uses, and it's so dense, but you don't need to catch any one particular flash of something to get the point across. Do you know what I mean?
None of it is crucial information to understand what's happening or understand the characters. It's all like extra stuff.
Whereas this is making the mistake of conveying that information in that same format, but it's necessary information that doesn't come across like on an instinctual level the same way I think the visual language of the Witch Labyrinths.
Well, I mean, the visual language of the Witch Labyrinths in Madoka are meant to expand on the witch.
On the witch. This is more, I think, unfocused.
Yeah.
And maybe suffers from that.
Don't yet know how the rumors work. We have no idea why we were seeing any of those things about Rena in the rumor, in the Uwasa.
Yeah.
So, like, we have no idea where Kaede was. And this episode doesn't answer that question.
Yeah.
We, none of that was really addressed in any of this. So it just didn't really follow through on any of that, any of that kind of stuff.
It's especially weird that we didn't get to figure out what was happening with Kaede while she was inside the rumor, because the game explicitly addresses that.
Yeah, when she...
Yeah, you were going to... Erin, you were going to expand on what the game did a little bit?
Yeah. The way the game handles it is they spend a lot... Of course, because it's a decompressed format, they can spend a lot more time actually looking for Kaede and talking about the relationship between her and Rena, which is already an advantage to get you a little bit more into these characters. But also, when they do finally find the rumor, they find that Kaede has been brainwashed by the rumor, basically, which is weird, because they did talk about this part in episode 2 as part of the rumor, that you'll be forced to clean an endless staircase, and the way the rumor does that is by brainwashing you into cleaning it forever, basically, and fighting for it. So Kaede is basically like a slave of the rumor at that point and fights against them, and it makes Rena have to take a more active role in trying to fight to get her back.
Yeah, whereas in this, Kaede, this is not brought up at all. Kaede
she just sort of
just
shows
kind of
up
there.
Yeah. And it just sounds like she's just been
it sounds like she was just
waiting,
incompetent and couldn't get
out
out.
or something.
This episode makes it seem more like Rena was the one that got brainwashed, and we were seeing what was going on in her brain.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Kaede shows up.
Right, and Rena does get brainwashed too in the game version as well.
Yeah, but none of that, we don't get to see any of that.
Yeah.
You know, like... And
we don't get to see what happened to Kaede.
Well,
that's
we
really disappointing.
We could have had a whole other episode like that incorporates all of that stuff, and it's just sad that we didn't get to get any of that.
Yeah, well, and
I agree.
It detracts from the rumor itself too, because if Kaede is kind of there just hanging out, then where are the stakes?
Yeah. Like, is it not trying to kill her?
That's what I meant about the tension deflating. It's like, what do we have to worry about? They're basically friends again now, and the rumor seems really easy to defeat. There you go.
Yeah. You could have done this at any time, really.
Yeah, was it not kidnapping other people?
Yeah, it did.
Where
it was.
Are those people?
Because we confirmed next episode that those people came back.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Well, we confirmed that they came back, but we never see it.
Yeah.
It's...
like... So
you could have even just shown us all of the people trapped in stasis or something to like make it like, oh,
or like
we have
they
to
had
save
them
these
in
people,
episode 2 with like the like pastel shades over them.
Yeah,
like it's just not.
But we didn't see any of that. We didn't see the people trapped. We didn't see anything happen to Kaede. It was basically just like, oh well, they're just kind of in stasis. We could leave them there for 5 years and it would be fine.
It'll be fine. It's no stakes. It comes back to stakes.
It's just like, we're just gonna put this in the freezer and take it out again in 6 months.
Yep.
Like, really, the only nice thing about the way they did it in the anime is, one, you get to see, like, all that stuff with Rena's psyche, which is really effective.
Yeah.
And I do like the moment of Kaede reaching out to her, but after that, they basically squander it all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just very frustrating because it's if they had just
Yeah.
just
You can see like the frame of
just
of a better
the
thing.
stuff that you're adapting. Like
Yeah.
use the source material.
And I haven't looked at the Magia Record manga yet, but I think I'm starting to hear some people talk about it and how it's doing a better job of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could see that. That actually seems to me like a better media for like adaptation of the gacha game, just in general, because for one, you can spend as much time as you need reading over a page to figure out what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right.
You can make it a dense,
Yeah, so you can
information
tell.
dense sort of thing.
You can tell a really information dense story that way, and the reader has as much time as they need to absorb
to
it.
look at every little thing on it
Whereas in a show, you have to effectively convey that information
very quickly.
very quickly to your audience, and they don't necessarily have all the time they need to absorb or process that information. So,
Yeah. Very disappointing.
big sigh.
So
It is disappointing.
yeah.
Magia Record, we were rooting for you. We were all
I still am.
rooting for you. I still am. Yeah. I still am. But if it's gonna keep going like this, then it is definitely going to be a B+ or a C anime. It's not going to be blowing us out of the water. Yeah.
It was never, I think, going to be
I was holding
an
out.
A.
Yeah.
It was never going to be a bad.
I would
it was
be
never gonna
satisfied
be
if it ends up being a B or a B+. I just don't want it to be a C. That's like really disappointing territory.
Yeah.
Honestly, the biggest thing for me is just I miss Gen.
Yeah, Gen.
I miss Gen.
Gen was clearly the part of this that I was digging.
Someone
the first time
who
around.
knows that, like, who keeps in mind, like, that the audience needs to be able to follow what's happening and, like, yeah.
Well,
and that the audience needs to sincerely give a shit about somebody in particular.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
You're missing, you know what you're missing? You're missing, like, those character moments, like, with Madoka talking to her mother.
Yes.
You're missing, those are the kinds of things that I'm missing here. Like, those character building moments for any one in particular character. Or...
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of this whole argument going on. And I actually had this argument with my brother about Castlevania, believe it or not. Because you remember how in Castlevania they spend half their fucking time just sitting in the fucking library
Oh, yeah,
arguing
you
with
mentioned
each
this.
other. Yes, and it's that all over again. Like, these characters aren't getting room to breathe. They're not getting any downtime with each other. They're not getting any character building moments that are just for them. There's just action after action after action after action after action.
Is this the Netflix one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like Space Mountain, the magical girl anime. Like, they're on a track and everything has to, like, keep progressing on the track.
Yeah.
Every interaction has to progress, from point A to point B to point C, and you don't get any time to just see what they're like and give a shit about them organically.
Yeah. Like, because with the Castlevania argument that I was having with my brother, he was saying, oh, well, they spent all this time in the library and it was
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing. They didn't do anything. I'm like, but they spent all that time in the library talking to each other and expanding on each other and building their relationship. And because of that, you give a shit when they're fighting at the end.
Yeah.
And
You give a lot of shit. I cry like a baby at the end of that.
Also, God, Carmilla, God.
Icon.
Just step on me. But anyway. This is what it's missing, is any kind of, like, downtime for the characters to organically interact with each other.
And I get that that's probably a challenge based entirely on the premise, because you have so many damn characters that you have to go through.
Yes.
But...
And that the original game had so much more time to spend because that's how that game is designed.
Yeah.
In that case, I feel like the thing to do would have been narrow down the cast to a handful of the ones you really, really, really like.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
I would have cut out the
know.
Momoko Kaede Rena trio altogether. The main quintet in the opening is who you should focus on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to waste our time with these B-side characters when you could have just built up your A-side to a point where we actually care what happens to them.
The only way, I was thinking about this while watching episode 4, I think the only thing that having this much focus on Momoko Rena Kaede early on, when they're really not going to be that big a deal going forward, is it kind of serves as a, like, Iroha starts the series off very, like, a very isolated, lonely character, and she's just kind of stumbled into this existing friend dynamic where she doesn't know what's going on, she doesn't have enough context to tell, like, what everybody's deal is, and it might be to serve as a contrast to the friend group she will eventually build and have real connections with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I still don't think it works even with that explanation being in mind, because the audience needs to give a shit along the way about Iroha, too, which we haven't been given much good reason to do so far.
Not really, and this whole plot line was basically a big, like, it could have been
Circle.
point A to point B. Okay, Iroha asks Rena to do the thing where she goes into the hospital, and she does it, and there we go. But instead we went on this gigantic detour and spiraled around for a while, and then finally just got there.
Here's what the purpose of this is in the gacha game. In the gacha game, this chapter is very important because it establishes the rules of the Iwasa and how the Iwasas
But this
work.
doesn't.
This does not. So it doesn't do what it's supposed to do for the story.
Yeah, all it's doing is, like, giving you fan service of the characters you liked from the game.
So I don't even understand, like, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around this, like, is this, the only thing I can think of is that this is because they don't have enough episodes to work with to get to the point in the gacha game story that they're trying to get to.
Which means they should have pared down the content.
Which means they should have pared down the content, or... How the fuck do you not have enough episodes to work with? Because this is a huge gacha game in Japan. Just do more episodes.
Make longer.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's a production reason because Shaft is notoriously bad at, like, delaying productions.
Come on, Shaft.
Yeah.
Like, the show itself is, like, it's kind of amazing it only got delayed, like, a month.
That would have been a decision made in pre-production. That would not have been a decision made at the end of the line when they said, oh okay, we gotta speed this up. That would have been made when they were writing the script, planning ahead how many episodes there was gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to get to a point...
they may have recognized that their ability to do, like, a super long series was not the greatest.
Yeah.
Then, like, I don't know, like...
Then why do this at all?
Yeah, then don't do this at all. Like, I don't know, just...
If you're not going to do it right, then don't do it at all.
Yeah.
But you can do it wrong and still make a shitload of money.
Like, you're not appreciating... Like, even Gen is not involved in the story of Magia Record, if I remember correctly.
No.
But they still have writers writing the story.
He's doing
and they
Thunderbolt
still
Fantasy
understand
or whatever, I think.
character arcs.
Yeah, like they still...
Do they?
Do
they really?
They do. I'd argue
I mean,
they do.
someone sat down and said, if we're going to have rumors, we have to introduce to the player what the rules are for the rumors, and how the rules for the rumors are different than the rules for the witches. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
you know
so
what
I'm trying to, like, establish a frame of reference here for, like, what kind of level of quality we should be expecting from a anime about a gacha game. And I'm, like, comparing it to the only other frame of reference I have, which is anime based on Otome games.
Oh no. No.
So I feel like we might be judging this a little too harshly because it's Madoka and not keeping in mind that it's gacha and we're basically doing the magical girl version of Diabolic Lovers or something.
That's why I said I would be okay with this being a B anime, because that's basically what the gacha game is. I'm okay with that being a B-level story. That's what it is. But that's where it gets disappointing when it becomes a C-level or D-level even.
The thing is, though, what Vanna is saying is that in the comparison she's making with, say, Diabolic Lovers, the anime is like G level.
Yeah, it's
It's
shit.
like H level.
It's complete.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's complete shit. It's
Yeah.
just
That's
there
the one
to
with the
sell
weird dog
gacha
thing,
game.
right?
That doesn't narrow it.
I know people made fun of, like, a really bad, like, dog animation.
Yeah, and Dance with Devils is the other one that's the
Yeah.
good anime. I use that term very loosely.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. Like, if you think of this as a gacha anime, it's probably pretty good at this point. If you
Yeah.
think
Yeah, like
of
this is probably very good for a gacha anime.
Yeah, if you think of this as a Madoka spinoff, maybe not meeting everybody's expectations. I think overall, it's probably doing a fine job. Like, I'm still quite enjoying it for what it is right now. So, final thoughts, not really a great episode, really could have been better, but is maybe a little bit better on subsequent watches.
It could be a lot worse, but it's not.
Yeah. Hoping it improved as we get more into the...
Yeah, like, it's not hot garbage, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as how we've already seen episode 4, we know it does not improve, really.
Well, I mean, beyond that, I mean, like, you know...
Yeah. Hopefully.
At this point, for me, I'm almost hoping it becomes hot garbage, because hot garbage would be
fun
That's
to
true.
shit on.
That's true. It would be fun.
Instead of
I
this
do
sort
like
of
complaining
just
about garbage, as you guys know.
Yes. We
This
all
is, right
like
now
to
it's
bitch.
more globally like
I am going to be sad
Yeah.
if it's bad, though. I will say. I'll be really sad.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's not,
But-
but oh well. More drinking
you know
and
what?
complaining, if that happens.
there you go. That's the spirit.
My final thoughts are literally just like Immortan Joe's mediocre.
Yeah. Mediocre. That's how I feel. It's
Yep.
not fun. It's not bad enough for me to like giggle and drink and watch again.
Yeah, but it's not good enough to really get into
Pour
except in
over and-
just specific spots.
Anyway.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Madoka Magicast. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can follow it at Madoka Magicast on Twitter. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, I am Lambda Power. That's Lambda, like the Greek letter, Lambda Power. My art account is Oddlazdo, Oddlazdo. We do have some new patrons to thank today, so I should do that before we log off here.
Yeah, don't we have a $30 patron
We do.
now?
We have
We do.
our first
Our thirst patron.
Thirst.
We are thirsty for
our
patrons.
thirsty patron.
Oh no.
No, yeah.
Whoa.
We have our first $30 patron, which is Robert, who put us over our first patron goal,
Woo!
which is to start doing some of the side content. So some of the side manga and stuff like that. So thank you so much to Robert. You are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's all thanks to you. So I did send Yasha and Vana the volumes 1
yes,
and 2
we
for the
got
different
volumes
story.
1 and 2.
I don't know.
Thank you
Excited.
so much, by the way. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
That was so
Mhm.
sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know when we're going to squeeze that in, but it is going to happen because we do
will.
have it now. So it is coming. It will happen eventually at some point. Thank you so much to Robert. And then we had a second one. Where were they? The other person was Deanna, who I think might have joined 2 weeks ago and already gotten thanked on the show. But if you did not get thanked on the show already, thank you very much, Deanna. She is a new $5 patron, and she is getting the pin. So thank you very much to Robert and Deanna. They are new-ish patrons since the last time we recorded, and they are getting pins, and Robert is getting a art commission. He's getting a chibi in the same style that I drew the avatars for the show. So thank you so much, Robert. If you want to support the show on Patreon, it is at Madoka Magicast on Patreon. Where can the internet find you guys if you wish to be found on the internet?
You can always find us at ohtori.nu. That's where we put all of our basically life for the last 20 years. You can also find us or our shit posts on Twitter at ohtori_NU. And I am still tickled that NU means naked in some languages.
Tori.
That was a mistake. We didn't mean to do it, but
But we did now.
it was a
We do
fortuitous
now.
mistake.
We do now.
Erin, where can people find you?
And you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/ErinCerise. That's ERYNCERISE. You can watch my series Maho Profile, A History of Magical Girls. Also related to Magia Record, I've put out a couple of mirrors battles videos recently for that. If that's a side of the game that you're interested in, so that should be fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
Very good.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks again for
All right.
listening, and
Woohoo.
join us next time. I think by the time people listen to this episode, our rebellion discussion will be up and finished. I hope everybody enjoyed that. So from here and going forward, it will be probably MAGIRECO, maybe some guests, and maybe we'll be fitting in some side topics. We're probably going to go back to doing some Curious Cat questions, because I'm sure we'll have some thoughts on the rebellion discussion. And we'll see
for
what
sure.
else people want to, what other ideas we have, what else people might want to hear about going forward. And we hope that you guys continue to enjoy. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
So we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.